It just might be the greatest sports franchise in the history of sports. A place where legends are made, and there's always something to talk about. Get ready to immerse yourself in pinstripes. Start spreading the news, hosted by Paul Semendinger and E.J. Fagan, a couple of doctors with a prescription for Yankee fever. And now, here's Dr. Paul Semendinger and Dr. E.J. Fagan. Get ready to start spreading the news.
All right, my friends, here we are. It is the Start Spreading the News Yankee show. Paul Semendinger, along with the brilliant, the wonderful, the great E.J. Fagan. Dr. E.J., how are you today?
Doing wonderful, Paul.
So, we had our 3-hour production meeting before the show, and I'm going to start with this, but it's to the point, EJ, where I hate to love the Yankees. And
they're not boring.
And I love to hate them. And obviously I never will hate the Yankees. But as of Saturday, middle of the game, I wrote the season off. I mean, obviously I didn't really, but you had that feeling. It was over. They were getting killed. They were going to lose their second in a row to the Braves. The Blue Jays are on the horizon. The Phillies are on the horizon. The Rays are on the horizon. The Yankees are going to lose every game for the rest of forever. They should sell everything. Aaron Boone should be fired. Hal Steinbrenner should sell the team. Brian Cashman should be fired. And then they win remarkably. And then today, Marcus Stroman, who I have no faith in, pitched yet another really good game. He's pitched great games or very good games ever since he's come back. I think that's 5 in a row now. So what are these? Are they a fun team? Are they a frustrating team? Are they an exciting team? What's your perspective right now?
I mean, I think they're an 88-win team, right? Or 90. Right now, they're on track for 90 wins, right? A 90-win team, right? I think a 90-win team feels like this. A 90-win team isn't that different from a 500 team, and so there's going to be times when they're frustrating and bad and not that great, and times when they look pretty good, and that kind of all averages out to 90 wins. That's the frustrating part of being a above average team, which is basically what I think they are.
Do you see this team making the playoffs?
Oh yeah. I think they're going to make the playoffs. The question is it wild card or division?
I mean, right now it's wild card because the Blue Jays are in first place. Tell me if I'm crazy on this. Even if the Blue Jays sweep the Yankees, I think they're 3 out as we're recording this. We're recording this week and not going live. So this was recorded on Sunday after the Yankees won their second game against the Braves. We don't know what's happening in the Blue Jay game because that's on Monday and this is Sunday. But let's say the Yankees came into the Blue Jays series down by 3 and the Blue Jays sweep. And now they're down by 6. I still don't think that means they're not going to win the division. Do you agree with me?
Yeah, I still feel like the Yankees have a good shot to win the division. I think they're just a better team than the Blue Jays. And I look at that Blue Jays roster and it's just not that it's not that impressive of a group of players. You got a pitching staff that I think the Yankees just are a bit, but just better than just top to bottom, bullpen, starting rotation, best pitchers, worst pitchers. I don't think there's any world where the Yankees are worse than the Blue Jays. Then you look at their starting rotation. I mean, their starting lineup, and I think they're better than that starting lineup too. Vlad Guerrero Jr. is not having a great season, and so George Springer is their best hitter. George Springer is let's just say no Aaron Judge. The Yankees have 4 guys who are just as good as George Springer. I think they're just getting a little lucky right now. And that I am more concerned about the Red Sox surging right now, who I think have the potential to be a really good team because they got a lot of young talent. I think the Rays are a better team than the Blue Jays. But the Blue Jays are on top, right? They have the 3-game lead. I'll say I'm looking at the projected standings on Fangraphs. So that uses kind of what's already happened and then kind of their projections, which are getting a little bit old right now, but their projections for the season, and they basically have put the Blue Jays and the Yankees tied at 90 wins. So the Yankees are on track for 90 wins. The Blue Jays, they think essentially are going to fall off just a little bit. They think the Red Sox aren't for real. They think the Rays aren't for real. So I think there's a reason why Max Fried and Carlos Rodon are pitching next series and not this series, right? I mean, this is the line, the matchup. I mean, I think the good news is I think this team has room to get better at the deadline, and that's really what I'm looking at right now.
All right, and we're going to get to the deadline. Two guys who I have zero faith in over the last 24 hours or so have put the Yankees on their backs, figuratively. They both had big moments. Trent Grisham hit the grand slam.
That was amazing. I freaked out when he hit that grand slam. That was awesome.
It's Trent Grisham. I mean, this guy can't hit 200. He's got 17 home runs now. And as I alluded to, Marcus Stroman has pitched very well since he's come back. Are either of these guys going to turn back into a pumpkin, or are we just having one of those years where you can ride, the miraculous player who comes out of nowhere?
I mean, if I had to pick the pumpkin, it would be Stroman, just because he's like, I don't get why we would expect what Stroman's doing right now to work. He's not throwing hard. He's never been a guy that has enough of a bag of tricks to do a Ryan Yarbrough, right? To get by throwing as softly as he does. He used to throw harder, and he just kind of slowed down. He's 5'9". He's older and lost some of his fastball, and I think it's really just kind of destroyed his game. But he's kind of plodding through, right? And I think right now the hope for Stroman is that he can give you some innings, he can keep you in games, and the offense can win the games, right? I don't think you're hoping that Stroman turns into himself kind of at the beginning, I think 2023, before he got injured, was the last time he was really on the top of his game. I think Trent Grisham, I mean, when I say like for real, I want to be careful there, but he's been really good this season. It's been legitimately good, right? Not lucky, not just he's had a really strong season. And if you look at his batted ball profile on StatCast, there's nothing to be worried about. He's got really good strike zone judgment, takes a lot of walks, hits the ball really hard, gets his barrels, and has an xWOBA in the 88th percentile. He's pulling the ball in Yankee Stadium style really well. He's playing average-ish defense. I think that I mean, if I'm the question really is how much do you play him? I don't think they're trading him. But I mean, you never know, they could, but I don't think that that's what's going to happen. That was something we talked about a month or two ago. But I mean, right now I put him in the lineup. I play him. I think that grand slam wasn't a fluke. He's been hitting home runs all year. And, he had a little bit of a slump at one point during the season, but just looking at his rolling numbers, he's just fully back right now and just hot. So I think you run with that hot hand and Trent Grisham, and then, I mean, I'm not crazy about I don't really want to re-sign him, but I could imagine a price that you would re-sign Trent Grisham at this point. I mean, I think he's just as a guy who's going to be your fourth outfielder, it's just been incredible.
And again, shocking me. I never expected any of this from Trent Grisham. Now, one of the topics, we're going through these quickly so far, but one of the topics.
That's right. I have a trivia question for you in a second. So.
Oh, all right, good. One of the topics that's been bounced around a little on Start Spreading the News has been, do you extend Cody Bellinger? Because he has this 2-year contract and he can opt out after this year and get a bigger deal. Do you let him opt out and sign him again, or do you just extend him, buy out that second year and add 5 more or whatever, based upon how he's done for the first couple of months? Or what are your thoughts on
I think that either way, I want Cody Bellinger on the team. Unless he blows out his ACL tomorrow. I think Cody Bellinger looks like a player that I would like to be a Yankee for, his 30s, basically, right? For the next 4 or 5 years. I don't think he's a mega contract guy. He's just been too inconsistent. And, even this year he's been good, but not, out of this world good. I think he works in pinstripes. I think he's your center fielder for a while, and you're losing, some outfielders. So you're going to need someone to play there. I think him as a kind of backup first baseman or kind of break glass first baseman is a good option. I like him as a player. I think he's kind of fun to watch. I think he seems like a good teammate. I like that he's faster than you think he is. He's athletic. Really, I have no complaints about him other than, I think there's times where he's a little overrated, but over his last 3 seasons, so since he kind of righted himself with the Cubs, he's an 820 OPS. In today's baseball, that's pretty great, especially as a solid defensive center fielder.
And a guy who can play left and right and first
and
base.
you know, he's been moving around and you haven't even thought about it, right? Like it hasn't been an issue at all. The Yankees have been weird about moving guys between center and left over the years. Bellinger is just whatever they need that day. He's there. It doesn't matter. He played first a couple of days ago, right? Like I think that I think it's worth keeping him around. Do you extend him? Like, I think the question is just basically like, whose risk tolerance is there, right? Like if Cody Bellinger wants to bet on himself, he can make more money by waiting a few months. In theory, you could save a little bit of money by saying, hey, we'll extend you now and you don't have to go on the market and you don't have to risk blowing out your ACL or whatever. And then you get him for a little bit cheaper, but honestly, I'm not sure how much cheaper that's going to be. One problem is that right now, Cody Bellinger has some extra job security, right? So extending him doesn't do as much for him because he gets $20 million next year, no matter what. If he opts out, then he goes on the open market. And so, I don't know. To me, like I think that like if the Yankees and Cody Bellinger both like each other and Bellinger wants to stay there, the Yankees are willing to pay basically what you would pay as a free agent. Yeah, sign him now. I think that Bellinger's had trouble getting a job in the past couple of years anyway. I suspect that, the Yankees could probably convince him to stay.
What are you giving him? 4 years, $25 million a year?
Something like that. I'd have to look at some kind of more recent comparable because he's still only 30. More than like Anthony Santander's contract, like a lot more than that. But there was like deferred money in there. So I'd have to kind of actually do some research to figure the answer to that question out. But I think a substantial contract, but not a world beating contract. He's going to get $130 million or something like that. One thing to also remember that I hate to talk about, but like anytime you talk about free agents, you're going to have to talk about it for the next year. There might be a strike in a year. 2027 baseball season is very much an open question. And, Cody Bellinger, if you're signing him to a 4 or 5 year deal, you're hoping that age 30, 31 are the really good years. And then he starts to decline as he gets older, especially as a center fielder. And, you might miss the 31 season at this point, which it sucks, but I think that's just the reality you have to kind of account for.
Am I wrong in feeling that Cody Bellinger, if the Yankees give him a contract, even if it's at the end of next year, let's say next year is similar to this year, not quite as good, but similar. I see this similarly to the DJ contract. The Yankees fall in love with a guy that they took a chance on. He really came out of the chute great, and now we're going to pay for his decline years. A really good guy, can play a lot of positions, seems like a great teammate. And then all of a sudden we're stuck for 5 years with a guy who's going to slowly not perform at that level anymore.
Yeah, I get why you think about that. I think I'd say a couple things. If LeMahieu was 2 years younger and you gave him that same contract, it would have worked out great. And Bellinger is 2 years younger than LeMahieu was when they signed into that contract. I also think that Bellinger has more athleticism to spare than LeMahieu. One thing you think about is like you start here as a player and then you slowly get worse as you age, right? Mm-hmm. LeMahieu was already slow, right? He already was a guy who was a hand-eye coordination guy, good fundamentals guy, but he was a 6'4" second baseman. And he was, he even when they signed him to that contract, he was still one of the slower runners on the team. And so he's already down here. And so now he's kind of off the charts, right? Bellinger right now is running like a center fielder. In 3 years, maybe he's running like a left fielder and you can move him to left field, or Bellinger has the option. You can move him to first base. My concern is, does some of his hitting troubles come back? This year, his hitting troubles have not been a problem really at all. He's looked like a above average hitter, basically. High contact, a little more exit velocity than he had the year before, a little bit of a Yankee Stadium swing. But I also think that's why you don't pay that much for him. If some team out there wants to offer him a 7-year contract or a 6-year contract, which I don't think anyone will, I think you let him walk. And then, there's a couple of other players we can talk about as a potential center fielder. I would rather, though, invest my money in Bellinger than I think overpay for Kyle Tucker.
I will agree with that. I don't want Kyle Tucker.
I would love him if he was a reasonable price, right?
He's
if
not
he was,
going to be, though. He's
right,
going to be
$250 million contract. I think Kyle Tucker is a great pick. Kyle Tucker is another one of those guys that just doesn't have a lot of athleticism to spare. He's already a 26.5 feet per second sprint speed, right? That's bottom third of the league, and he's an outfielder. So he's already not a great defender, at least isn't this year. And now you're taking speed off him as he ages. I think he's a DH. And I don't like that. You want probably Aaron Judge to age into the DH spot on your team. So if you give to Kyle Tucker an 8-year deal, then all of a sudden you have a roster spot problem somewhere on your team. He's a great hitter. I would love to have him on my team. I wish the Yankees had traded for him, but I just don't. I don't think it's a good idea for this team in particular. I think that Bellinger solves a problem that's unsolved next year, which is who's your center fielder. There's not a lot. There's center field is kind of thin in the major leagues at the moment. Trent Grisham, I think, is going to get paid because there's not a lot of center fielders out there. And I think that Cody Bellinger is a much better defender than Trent Grisham right now.
All right. I don't disagree with that. Grisham, he's got this lackadaisical approach.
Very strange.
Yeah.
It's very strange. Him watching him catch a ball that I think he's doesn't know where it is. And then he puts his glove up and it goes into it at the last second. So weird. I think the problem is
it's kind of fun to watch.
Look, I think he knows what he is doing in center field as well as any player I can remember since Brett Gardner. Meaning his fundamental outfield ability is very, very strong. The routes he takes the balls, I'm sure if we measured it, would be great. I think that he's just slowed down too much. He has a 27 mile per hour sprint speed. He's slower than Ben Rice. That eventually turns you into not a center fielder anymore. And the numbers right now are showing it. Now, fielding numbers are subject to small sample sizes. But Trent Grisham is not, I don't think looks like the reputation, which was back when he used to be one of the fastest runners in the game. People forget he hurt his knee. And ever since he hurt his knee, he has been slow, basically. He slowed down quite a bit. And, as he's gotten older and as that injuries really caused problems.
So right now, Spencer Jones is hitting about 4 billion. Every other at-bat's a home run. I think he hit 2 home runs today.
I was going to ask you the trivia question, which I guess is now ruined. Paul, who is the best hitter in the minor leagues this year?
That's Spencer Jones?
It's Spencer Jones, 196 WRC plus. There's really no real significant like upper minors prospect anywhere near him. The only way you can describe what Spencer Jones is doing right now, and I hate this comparison because it's putting way too much on Spencer Jones' shoulders. He's doing an Aaron Judge. Since he came back from injury, which is the end of May, he has been straight up peak Aaron Judge. And that would be just a normal hot streak for any player. It's only been 15 games at AAA. He's got 10 home runs. He's batting .430. He's been incredible. If Spencer Jones wasn't such an easy player to compare to Aaron Judge, right? He is Judge's size. He has athleticism. He's the same age Judge was before he broke into the majors. He is on the Yankees, right? Spencer Jones should be compared to Aaron Judge. That's the best case scenario for Spencer Jones. That's why he's still a guy we talk about, despite the fact that he's been striking out a ton. But it's only been 16 games, right? And so you got to kind of be careful there. But damn, I don't know. Have I told you my theory of Spencer Jones? Why I think he's doing well in the high minors in AAA?
The strike zone.
I think it's the umpires.
Yeah, better umpires.
Because we saw that just matter quite a lot for Aaron Judge. And I am getting close to saying man, don't trade this guy unless you're getting years of Juan Soto, right? I think Spencer Jones is underrated at this point. Still strikes out a lot, but the strikeout rate's a little bit down, at least in a couple of weeks of AAA. Not getting called up to the majors anytime soon because there's no place to play him.
Well, this is my question.
Mm-hmm.
So I would assume, regardless of what happens this year, assuming the players, I don't care about the results. I always care about the results. I want them to win the World Series. But outside of all that kind of stuff, I would assume everything staying equal, Jason Dominguez is your left fielder next year.
Probably, yeah.
Okay. I would assume then that
or your center fielder,
Cody Bellinger or Trent Grisham is part of that mix. I would assume Aaron Judge is your right fielder. I would assume that Giancarlo Stanton is your DH. How do you fit Spencer Jones into this mix?
It's a tough question. You're right. You don't. I mean, you do what you did this year, basically, which is you alternate guys. I think you still have this problem of a platoon partner for Dominguez, but Dominguez is a left-handed hitter, basically.
Spencer Jones doesn't fix that because
Spencer Jones is a left-handed hitter. Yeah. Cody Bellinger is a left-handed hitter. I think the answer could lie in Cody Bellinger playing a lot more first base, but then you're kind of wasting, I think, a pretty good defender. So you're right. It's still a problem that you have. And like, I would be open to trading basically any of those guys other than Judge. Probably an offseason thing. I think right now, I don't think Spencer Jones is getting traded, is my guess. I think his ceiling is so high that you are risking trading the next Aaron Judge. That doesn't mean that's likely. That doesn't mean what he's going to be valued at on the trade market. But imagine if he became the next Aaron Judge and you traded him and like the Pirates get to have Aaron Judge, right? That is, I mean, you'd have to blow me away. There's some players we can, that maybe you're willing to let yourself be blown away. But definitely not a rental. And even like a guy with like a year and a half of control, I just don't think it's a starter for Jones. Now they have other guys they can trade, so it's not like that means you can't trade for guys. But Jones has really put himself on the map in a way that I think is like, I think there's like a lagging indicator of hype. Like, I don't think we're hyped yet enough for him because he's just been he's been Aaron Judgian, right? There's no other way to say it.
All right. So putting you on the spot, which of those guys, Bellinger, Grisham, Jones, or Dominguez, is still a Yankee on August 2nd after this trade deadline's over and all the dust is settled?
Jones, Grisham, I think they're all Yankees.
Interesting.
I mean, I think there is room to trade. I actually think there's room to trade Trent Grisham, but I just don't know who the trade is. Like, I think you could trade him to a contender for a pitcher. But there's no like pitchers really come to mind. Obviously he's not a guy that you can trade to a rebuilding team because he's a free agent at the end of the year. And then you also have the problem of, you have no fourth outfielder in that situation. So you need to get a fourth outfielder back if you trade him. So I just think he's really hard to trade. And I think, Dominguez is so valuable that you're only trading him for a big, big deal. I think we talked about O'Neal Cruz last week. And I think I said O'Neal Cruz is like an only an extreme scenario kind of trade, right? Like I wouldn't trade Dominguez for O'Neal Cruz. So like, I think those guys are all on the team. I mean, Rice, I guess, is tradable. I saw some rumors that JC Escara might get traded. So you're talking about kind of small trades like that. It's tough. Like it is a good problem to have. I think that's just like that cliche is very true here. Giancarlo Stanton is doing his best to kind of capture that DH spot. He's been hitting really well. I don't really believe it, frankly. Look at his StatCast numbers; they're not that impressive. But as long as he gets hits, he's as long as he's batting 290 or whatever he's batting right now, he's going to keep playing. So you have Ben Rice and Jason Dominguez and not playing enough, right? That's the answer. That's not great for their development, but it might be the best team you can put on the field every given day.
It's a conundrum because you look around the Yankees, I don't think they're going to improve a catcher. First base, I don't think you're going to get rid of Goldschmidt. Second base, you have Chisholm. Shortstop, I think, would they move from Volpe? I doubt it. They could really need to improve third base, but the rest of those positions, the outfield, the DH, we've already covered that. So as far as position players, the only place you can improve is third base.
It's third base, right? And Eugenio Suarez is sitting out there as the obvious guy to trade for. There's only really one other contending team that really needs a third baseman. That's the Chicago Cubs. The Diamondbacks are almost certainly going to trade Suarez. I think it just makes so much sense. And the real question is like, who's willing to pay more? And who has what the Diamondbacks want, the Yankees or the Cubs. I think that would make this team a lot better. It would lengthen that lineup. It'd give you another big home run bat kind of in the middle of the lineup. Somebody kind of put in there maybe after Chisholm, or even like, you can put him, lead off or something. I don't know. There's places where you can play him. He's been kind of bad defensively this year, but he's historically been okay. So you wonder if that's age and he's getting a little worse, or if, it's just kind of a small sample, he'll get better. You don't really know what's going on there. So you're probably losing a little bit of infield defense, but they're just so bad at third base right now that I don't mind it at all.
So do you have any off the radar trade ideas, whether they're rumors or just crazy ideas you've thought of?
Yeah. I mean, I think the one that's been like hanging around my head for a while is Mackenzie Gore of the Washington Nationals. Mackenzie Gore is having a breakout season. He previously has shown promise, but didn't really break out. He was a guy who still got hit pretty hard before this year, but he was a former number 2 overall pick. He's got crazy stuff. He's 26 years old. He's a lefty. He's fulfilling the promise of the premise for him. And he's got, I think, 2 years of team control left after this. So he's not quite like a Jazz Chisholm trade. Like, he's better than Jazz Chisholm was when he got traded, but he's kind of in that window where maybe it makes sense before he maybe has a bad second half or gets injured that the Nationals probably should trade him now. That might be a little hard for the Nationals. They just fired their GM. So who knows if they're willing to do kind of like big, franchise changing trades, and will require a big package. Is he Spencer Jones level has been the question I've been like debating in my head for a while. Do I trade Spencer Jones for someone who would be your number 2 starter behind Fried, be really good? I don't know. And it's tough. Like, oh man, like, do I there's lots of players I trade, I would gladly trade Luis Heel for him. I'm not sure the Nationals would take that trade, or if Luis Heel would have to be kind of a second or third best player in the trade for that to happen. I'm not trading George Lombard Jr. for him because I need a third baseman next year. You go down the list, you're like, what are you willing? Someone is going to give up a lot for Mackenzie Gore, is my guess. He's that kind of just excellent player. But, I at the same time, he's a risky player. He's a guy, this is the first good year he's ever had. I mean, he's only 26, and so that matters, and he has the talent. But you worry that he kind of turns back into a pumpkin, like we've talked about with some other players before. And so I don't like that. That's why I'm so split on whether I would trade for him, but he's that first guy that comes to mind.
So if it's you, it's third base and it's starting pitching, or do you also try to?
I think you need bullpen. I mean, it's you hope that health will solve some of the Yankees' problems in the bullpen. I think Fernando Cruz and Mark Leiter Jr. are like solid kind of 6th, 7th inning guys at this point, and Luke Weaver and Devin Williams are just really strong in the 8th. You add in Tim Hill, that feels like a solid bullpen, a good bullpen overall. But there's a player that was rumored that I kind of want to trade for, but it's another like expensive one. The Guardians are rumored to be shopping Emmanuel Clase. And I mean, he is going to be so expensive. Clase is 27 years old. He's having a great season, having a classic Emmanuel Clase season at this point. He is still throwing a 99-mile-an-hour cutter. He is under team control for, I believe, 4 more years, the last 2 of which are team options. He's not getting paid that much money. He's getting paid like single-digit millions of dollars. He would require a king's ransom to get, and maybe a Spencer Jones level king's ransom to get. And to me, do I want to trade Spencer Jones for a reliever, even one of the best relievers in the game? I think that there's little you could do to improve your chances of winning World Series more than acquiring Emmanuel Clase. And if he's on the market, I mean, it's a tough decision. I think I gotta make a big offer for him.
All right. So I'm the Cleveland Guardians, and I say to you, all right, I know you're trying to get relief pitching, so we're not going to do that. So Jones, Schlittler, and Volpe.
Yeah, no, that's not happening.
All right, Jones.
You can't make the current team worse, right? And so the problem is if you trade, say, Schlittler, right? You open up a rotation spot. Who takes that spot? No.
Well, right now he's only pitched once.
Whatever. Like you need bodies on this team. Like I don't think you can trade. You can't trade Volpe because you need a shortstop. You can't trade Schlittler because like who's your next starter? Like you're running out of bodies there, and you're risking real disaster if another guy gets injured or Max Fried has to go on the IL with blisters for a couple of weeks or something like that. You're still fighting for the division. I think there's minor league guys you could do to kind of the Yankees have a lot of really solid minor league pitchers right now. So you could trade some of those guys, no problem. I think in that deal.
Yeah, but I think that's easy. I'm trying to make it a little bit hard.
Yeah, I don't.
They want Dominguez.
I think. I mean, Dominguez for Class A. I don't think I can trade a top young hitter for a reliever. Relievers are so volatile. I mean, look at what we thought maybe even this season, Devin Williams went from being one of the best relievers in the game to being a little shaky.
And Clase got banged up by the Yankees last year in the playoffs.
I mean, all the top relievers got banged up in the playoffs last year. It was a weird fact of that playoffs. Yeah. So I don't think so. But then Spencer Jones is not worth as much as Jason Dominguez. Right. And so now is the Spencer Jones level trade. And I think like I start getting interested. Like to me, I start being interested in that trade. I wonder if there's anything else you could shake loose of the Guardians. I'm just looking at their roster right here. If you were going to get him, and they're also supposedly trading Cade Smith, another really good reliever, but I think he'd also be very expensive. Excuse me. I mean, Stephen Kwan, I saw a trade rumor for recently.
No.
Yeah, I know. Kwan's a fun player.
Oh my God.
He's an outfielder.
Yeah, but he's one of these guys I've always wanted on the Yankees. The last number of years, like this guy's just a quality baseball player.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his numbers,
Kyle Tucker.
His numbers this year are not great. So like I like Stephen Kwan a lot, and yeah, I wonder if they want to trade him because maybe they think they can still kind of sell kind of high on him, and even if he's kind of last year was maybe his peak. But there's some interesting there's a world where there's like a blockbuster trade with Cleveland that I think could be kind of fun. I still first of all, every team in baseball is going to want Emmanuel Clase, and so it's going to be expensive, and it's like the best possible contract. He's not getting paid anything, and you have team options, so even if he blows out his arm, like you're fine. You don't have to pay him money. That's a tough one. It allows you to say let Devin Williams walk, right? Because then right now
at
the
the
Yankees
end of the year.
I mean, the Yankees basically have no bullpen after this year, and so acquiring a long-term closer makes a lot of sense. I think it's more likely they get a couple of rental guys. I think you're going to have to see like one or two Mark Leiter Jr. level trades. That didn't work out great for them last year. He's turned into something a little bit better this year, but something like that. And Class A would be fun, but I just have trouble seeing it. I mean, if you're Cleveland, you got it for 4 years, right? I mean, you're trying to win every year, and you're not paying him any money, and that's usually your constraint in Cleveland. And so it makes no sense that they would want to trade him to me, unless they think that he's got a hidden injury or something.
Right, because a trade has to make sense, and if everything.
I mean, the answer is if you would pay a king's ransom for him, they would trade him, right? I mean, that's part.
Well,
of
you'd pay what? Yeah, I would trade Aaron Judge if he gave me a king's ransom, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
At some point, like no player is like you got to give me 5 starters.
But I wonder if that's why they floated the name out there. I still like the O'Neal Cruz possibility, but there's really no place to play him this year.
I'm not a big fan. I don't like that trade.
He's just such a fun player that I think he's just he has such crazy tools that some team has to dream that they can do something about it.
Mm-hmm.
If Eugenio Suarez falls through, I think Ryan McMahon is an option. Problem with McMahon is he's not having a great season. It's always kind of tough to tell, like with Colorado, how much of that's Colorado, how much of it's something else. But he's a really, really good defender. Brian Hayes. One thing I've just learned recently, which I don't know why I didn't know this, is he's Charlie Hayes' son.
Yes,
which is such a Yankees move, right? They want to play the highlights on of Charlie Hayes squeezing the ball in the '96 World Series every single moment, right? So, Cody Bellinger's on this team. There's a lot of sons of '90s Yankees out there that I think they can go and get, and so like I could see them trading for Brian Hayes, which doesn't solve your offense problem at third base, but he helps you on defense for a long time. So I think something's going to happen. I still feel like Eugenio Suarez just makes so much sense. It's a 1-year deal. He doesn't close the spot for Lombard Jr., which you would if you were going to get Hayes. The Lombard Jr. could take Volpe's spot potentially. But maybe Volpe is about to go on a hot streak. We don't know. So like it's tough. This is a hard trade deadline because there's so few sellers.
Yeah, well, that's the way they designed the game with all the extra wild cards and stuff. Everybody's in it, which makes it that much more difficult. All right, what else you got for me? I'm disappointed. I figured out the trivia question.
Yeah, that was supposed to be a little bit of a surprise because every year you have like one or two players that kind of go off the rails, but now you look at Spencer Jones's numbers and they're better than like say what Jackson Holiday did a couple of years ago. What like the number one prospect in baseball is doing that year. And I was reading on Blue Sky today. Jarrett Seidler from Baseball Perspectives was talking about why they didn't rank Spencer Jones in the top 50, I think, when they redid their top 50 just now. And his answer was basically just make enough contact. And he showed an interesting, let me find this. He showed an interesting table where he showed the players who make contact. So not a walk, hit by pitch, or strikeout, as little as Spencer Jones, and how few of them are in the majors. So Spencer Jones has about a 62% contact rate throughout his major league. So 62% of his at-bats end in a ball in play of some kind. And that is very low. And this year at AAA, he's at like 59%, right? So he's walking a ton, he's striking out a little bit less. So he's still just not ending that many at-bats in contact. As I'm stalling here, I'm trying to find this table that he put out because I think it's really interesting. Here we go. So he says, right now, basically, they're calling him a 20 grade contact player, basically Joey Gallo level contact. And if you look at the list of players in the major leagues since last year, so since 2002, who have a contact rate in the 60s, it's not a great list. This guy's like Chris Carter, Adalberto Mondesi, who kind of flamed out, Jorge Alfaro, who flamed out, Mike Zunino, who had a short career. A couple of guys you might think of, like Russell Branyan, William Opeña, Joey Gallo. This is not a great list of players. There's no one in that contact range that is like secretly the best player in baseball. And Spencer Jones has to essentially be the best player to make the least contact ever. And that's asking a lot. Now that said, he could be Aaron Judge, right? Like he has the physical tools that some of those guys I just named just don't have. He can play a good center field, like a Cody Bellinger level center field. So that's a plus kind of on top of all that. And so he is a legitimately outlier, weird player. And you take all this, and when he wasn't hitting, you go, okay, like he's a guy with a lot of tools who isn't going to hit like that. That's Spencer Jones. And now he's hitting better than any player in the minor leagues. He is hitting better than any player in the major leagues right now.
So let me put a scenario out. He comes up, and over the next 5 seasons, he puts up about 15 WAR, 3 WAR per season. Not great. Okay. His OPS plus is 117. He bangs out 151 home runs. He has an on-base percentage of about 336. He slugs about 500. His OPS about 834. If that's what he does for the next 5 years.
Yeah, that's a great player.
That's Joey Gallo from 2017 to 2021.
I mean, that's the thing, right? Like, can you deal with a guy who hits 200 but hits 45 home runs and takes a lot of walks and gets on base? In today's game, like maybe the average major league hitter is a 240 hitter now.
And Joey Gallo was a good defensive player. And I think Spencer Jones is supposed to be pretty good defensively.
They're very similar players in that sense. Now Jones is a much larger human being than Joey Gallo, who himself was a big dude.
Yeah,
Joey Gallo played some third base, which is notable. Like I still think like Gallo like skirted with the edge of what is possible.
Yeah, this is funny. Joey Gallo is 6'5".
Yeah, I mean it's amazing that we say 6'5" is small. 6'5" is like a normal height, and 7 is big, right? But yeah, like the difference is interesting in baseball there. Yeah, look, and Joey Gallo's coming back as a pitcher, by the way.
I hope so. Oh, I root for this guy.
Okay.
There's certain players. The Yankees had a pitcher in the 80s. His name was Bob Shirley. You've never heard of him, I'm sure. He was a lefty. He really wasn't any good, but he just, I don't know, there was something about him. Whenever he came in, I was like, oh no, they're bringing in Bob Shirley. And more often than not, he didn't do well, but there was something about him that was just eminently likable. Like, you just feel sorry for this guy. He's like an everyman guy. And I always had a soft spot for Bob Shirley. I sort of feel the same way about Joey Gallo. I liked it when the Yankees got him. He had all this upside. He is all the crazy outside of the box type of player. And he just flopped and everybody hated him and it just didn't work.
I mean, I think the trade came at the wrong time. Like Joey Gallo, it wasn't like Joey Gallo went somewhere else and was great, right? Joey Gallo's career was basically over right after that trade.
Yes.
And this is what I've said about Jazz Chisholm. I think maybe true of Joey Gallo as well. Like, you have some players that are just riding the line between great and unplayable. And they have these incredible physical talents. And the second they lose just a little bit of that incredible physical talent, they're on the other side of the line. And I think that's what happened with Joey Gallo. I think Joey Gallo was, again, he was the guy who could hit, 199 and still be a valuable hitter. And that could be Spencer Jones. I mean, I also think, look at Joey Gallo. I don't know if you're on Joey Gallo's fan.
Yeah, I can pull him up right here. Yeah.
Look at Joey Gallo's Fangraphs page.
Oh, I'm on Baseball Reference. I have to go to Fangraphs.
Go to Fangraphs real quick, because there's something that I think is a real, and then I'm going to bring up Spencer Jones's Fangraphs page. There's a real key difference between the two of them that I think is interesting and worth. One reason why you can dream on Spencer Jones and why he feels a lot like Aaron Judge, that is his batting average and balls in play. So take a look at Joey Gallo's BABIP throughout his career. It's awful, right? Joey Gallo didn't make a lot of contact. And when he made contact, he was worse than the average major league player at getting a hit. That is a weird combination. That's a low batting average combination. That's a very low batting average combination. Now look at Spencer Jones's page. Spencer Jones has the best batting average and balls in play in the minor leagues consistently throughout his entire career. That is Spencer Jones even before he went crazy over the last 2 months, when he made contact, even when he was not playing well, even at Double-A when he was striking out 37% of the time, he had a BABIP of 400. Like, when you hit the ball as hard as Spencer Jones, and Spencer Jones has a 94 mile per hour average exit velocity at AAA before tonight. It's going to go up after tonight because he has a couple of big hits tonight. When you hit the ball as hard as Spencer Jones, and my guess is, based on those numbers, I haven't looked at the numbers in detail, based on that batting average and balls in play, he is not a guy who's going to pound the ball into the ground. All right, Giancarlo Stanton, Joey Gallo, not great BABIP guys because they hit a lot of ground balls. My guess is Spencer Jones can't hit that many ground balls with that batting average and balls in play. And that gives you hope that is what Aaron Judge does better than anybody in the league, right? Aaron Judge's batting average on balls in play is incredible, right? He is a consistent guy above 340, basically, since he broke out, since the 2022 season. And even before that was really good. And yeah, in fact, he's only been below Aaron Judge has only been below 300 twice in his career. He's basically in the 360 range every season.
What's it this year?
This year his batting average and balls play is 426. I mean, xWOBA is designed to measure this, and xWOBA basically says that that's not luck. That's just Aaron Judge being an incredible hitter. That's your hope for Spencer Jones, that even if he strikes out a lot, and Aaron Judge strikes out a lot, not nearly as much as Spencer Jones, but Aaron Judge, even there's been versions of Aaron Judge that have struck out 30+% of the time, which is kind of verging on unplayable for most major league players. But there's a world where that is a real skill for Spencer Jones. And you end up with a guy who is you can't predict a guy's going to turn into Aaron Judge. But I think that there's his ceiling, even if he strikes out a ton, is higher than Joey Gallo's for that reason. You add the fact that he's a good center fielder. He's 25 years old. He's cheap. I mean, it is weird to me that prospect lists aren't paying attention. Like, if you think about, I mean, we don't like to talk about betting on this in this on the show, but you think about when you make bets. Like, sometimes you make bets because they're sure bets. So there are prospects that I think are pretty high probability bets. George Lombard Jr., I think people like him a lot because they think that the floor is high. Now, obviously, the floor for any prospect is not a major league player, but they think that this is a guy who has a really strong probability of at least being a major league player and has some probability of being an all-star. Spencer Jones, the floor is he strikes out 300 times in the major leagues, right? And is completely unplayable, is eaten up by major league pitchers, is not a player you can roster. The bad version of Joey Gallo, right? Late career Joey Gallo. That's the floor for Spencer Jones. And there's a good chance that's Spencer Jones, right? Like, there's a really strong chance that he is just going to get picked apart by major league pitchers. But then the ceiling is Aaron Judge. Left-handed Aaron Judge who can play center field. Or even just like the Aaron Judge we saw before 2022, which was still a very, very good player. Like, if I'm making a prospect list, right? Like, I'm weighing both of those possibilities, and I'm putting Spencer Jones pretty high. And the fact that you don't think he's a top 50 prospect in baseball, I don't think major league GMs approach it that way. Like, I think Spencer Jones if he were traded, would bring a lot back. I don't think he's a guy you would trade for as a top, non-top 50 prospect. You could trade for a rental. Like, I don't think that is at all what he's worth. And that's why I don't think he's tradable. I don't think he's going to be traded because he's just that good, and top 50 prospects almost never get traded. Unless some player that we're not thinking about is the guy that's available, but it's hard to tell who that would be at third base.
Good stuff, EJ. I don't have anything else for you. You have anything else for me?
Yeah. I was looking at this upcoming schedule recently.
Oh my goodness. The next 10 days are...
It's more than that. So I saw them on the broadcast talking about the next 10 days, right? So the Yankees are going for Toronto, Philly, Tampa.
Mm-hmm. Home against Tampa.
Have you seen their August schedule?
No. I who's the first team in August? It was an easy one.
It's the Marlins. Right?
Yeah,
so,
that's all I saw. I saw, okay, then they get the Marlins, but the trade deadline's over, so I wasn't really thinking. Let me pull it up here.
They have the second toughest schedule remaining in the major leagues.
Then you get Texas, Houston, Minnesota, St. Louis, Tampa Bay for 2. Then you get the Red Sox for 4. And then you finish August basically with the Nationals and the White Sox. That's 7 games.
Okay, now click over to their September schedule.
Houston, Toronto, Detroit, Boston, Minnesota, Baltimore, Chicago again, and Baltimore. So I like the way they end the season.
The end of the season is fascinating, right? The Yankees right now have, for the next month and a half, the hardest schedule in baseball. Not even close, right? There's only one team with an easier schedule in baseball.
No, harder.
A harder schedule in baseball going forward. And I believe, I'm going to check real quick before I speak out of the turn. I think it's the Rockies. Because the Rockies don't get to play the Rockies. So strength of schedule remaining. The only other team close is I'm looking at the rest of the season winning percentage. The next best is the Dodgers. Actually, I guess have a hard schedule coming forward. No one else is close, right? The rest of the AL East has a much easier schedule going forward, but those last 3 weeks is incredibly easy. White Sox and a ton of games against the Orioles and a ton of games against the Twins. All of those teams are going to be packing it in by that point, right? Those are not going to be teams that they're going to be selling. They're going to lose a lot of their best players. They're going to be tired. It's going to be September. They're all going to want to go home. The White Sox, the Orioles, they might be miserable for different reasons, right? And so I could imagine a world where the Yankees are behind going into September. Maybe they play well, but they're still 2 games behind the Blue Jays or something like that, or the Red Sox or the Rays. And then they have that last 3 weeks.
That's what I was saying at the top. Like, even if the Yankees get swept by Toronto, I don't think that automatically writes off.
Oh, not automatically, but you have a 6-game deficit to pull up, right? And you still have 2 series against the Astros, a bunch of series against up against the Blue Jays, which might be a good thing. The Tigers, even though they're sneaky bad lately. I'll note, by the way, the Marlins have been really great lately. I think the Marlins they for a second they were third in the NL East. They've been one of the best teams in baseball the last month. So the Marlins aren't really a pushover at that point, but that's a little bit further in the distance.
And that's after the trade deadline. They might make some moves too. And
yeah, you're right. The Marlins are so a lot of these twin teams, a lot of games against the Twins, the Marlins, those teams could be a lot different than they are right now. I mean, I'll say I think one reason why the Marlins have gotten better is former Yankee Augustin Ramirez isn't catching anymore.
I lost EJ here. EJ froze up. I'm going to send him a text and let him know he froze.
It's going to be a tough schedule. It's going to be a tough schedule. Sorry about that. It's going to be a tough schedule for a while. And, the Yankees, they had a really easy stretch and they played their worst baseball. June was supposed to be the easy month.
Yes. But what that does is that lets us know that anything can happen, right? So when these other teams should be having these easy months, it may not be easy. I'm going to have to text EJ again and let him know he keeps freezing.
I'm sorry about that. I don't know why I keep going down. Who teams are also going to add at the deadline? It's a little rough. By the way, I think when I click away is when I go down.
Oh, okay.
So don't click away. That's the answer.
Don't click away, EJ.
I looking on my other tabs, trying to come up with stuff to talk about. So hopefully I haven't screwed this recording up. But yeah, so I am legitimately concerned about the next the next month and a half of play. But then I'm also really looking forward to being able to play the Orioles for a ton of games and the White Sox right at the end of the season.
It should be fun. And it should, again, I started by saying I hate to love this team because they drive me crazy. And then they go for a month and they can't win. And then I say, all right, good. Just lose then. Fine. That's fine. I don't care. Lose all your games. Maybe they'll fire Brian Cashman and Aaron Boone.
I mean, we were getting close to that. Like that June stretch, which I feel like the Yankees have right. I don't know. Maybe that's the way to end this. I feel like the Yankees have righted the ship. Maybe if they had lost that Saturday game against the not very good Braves team, and that bullpen game just was depressing. Maybe you would have said, man, the ship is crashing still. But they had that 5-game winning streak. They lost 2 of 3 in the last series before the All-Star break. But I feel more confident going into this Toronto series than I would have a couple of weeks ago. And especially with Rodon and Fried pitching. Right now, you can say this is a team that is kind of rounding into form, except for all the injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a better place to be than what it was in June, which was like everybody's playing badly. I think the players who are on the field are playing well, maybe with 1 or 2 exceptions. I think Volpe has been, Saturday notwithstanding, has been in one of the worst slumps of his career. And then third base is a disaster. But the team is, other than those guys, the players are playing how you would expect. But the problem is that you're putting out a bullpen game. You have maybe 2.5 relievers that you trust right now who are healthy. And that's what's losing you games. Even if you think about some of the games where they almost came back, like a lot of that was because their middle relief gave up a bunch of runs, or Will Warren gave up a bunch of runs early in the game. They won that game, but that's a fixable problem. If your core wasn't working, then that's a difficult problem to fix.
That's correct. I would agree with that. All right, EJ, listen. It's going to be fun. By the time we're talking here next week, the Yankees will have played the Blue Jays and the Phillies. We'll be live next Monday night. Oh, quick note, my dear friends, this program is brought to you by Artemisia Publishing, one of the great publishers in the United States of America, an independent publisher who publishes fantastic books, including a bunch of mine. If you haven't read my books yet, your life is incomplete. But you can complete your lives by going to AP Books and buying copies of all my books and giving them to all your friends. It's a great idea. EJ, thank you as always. Thank you for coming on early with me, and have yourself a great week. Thank you, everybody. This has been the Start Spreading the News